It's Whiskers.
And it's Sage.
And welcome to Wash Your Hands. Today we're going to be doing our 5 best games we played this year. But first we're going to be starting with what's going on in gaming right as we lay, starting 2019 here. So in the end of 2018 there was a number of releases like Fallout 76.
It was very disappointing for a number of reasons, and it let a lot of fans down.
There was Red Dead Redemption 2.
It's a hugely immersive game with a lot of potential.
Nintendo has released Spyro again. With that being said, let's start the list. Number 5, Fallout 4.
Released in 2015, the premise of Fallout 4 is that a family that got let into a vault during a nuclear fallout was betrayed by that same vault and cryogenically frozen. You play as a man or a woman, depending on who you choose, and your family basically gets kidnapped. Critics decided to give this game a 9.5 out of 10. Our review of Fallout, starting with pros, because we like to do things positive on this channel, they have a good use of their weapon systems. The workbenches and the weapons themselves are very well developed and very immersive. When they're not buggy, the graphics themselves look amazing. Boston has never looked so good in gaming. Certain NPCs have amazing backstories and are very, very well designed, like Nick Valentine and Hancock. And we really did enjoy the opening to the game. We thought they had a lot of potential, but it wasn't used well enough, we think. There could have been more to it. One of the cons is that there's a bad building mode. One of the worst parts of the entire game is the building mode, and it's pretty much broken, and if it's not broken, it's useless. Sure, you can make a base, and it's cool, but it overall has no effect on the entire game. This game, like most Bethesda games, is full of glitches and bugs, and some of them may be game-breaking depending on which quest it's for. The NPCs that aren't focused on at all are really bland and dry, and some of them aren't even fully rendered. A lot of the side missions we personally think were just fetch quests, and some of them were just a waste of time. We decided to rate this game 9 out of 10, and we have some fun facts for you today. A lot of Boston's real-life locations were used in this game. It is the first Fallout game to use player-spoken dialogue of the protagonist personally. And a lot of the companions are giving their own quirky backgrounds and their choices. Like, of whom Kate likes when you're nude, but Strong the super mutant does not, even though he's always nude. But it's time to move on to number 4.
Our pick for this spot is Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. This game was released in 2014 after Ghost, which was a little bit of a flop. This game is more along the premise of being 50 years in the future, where Kevin Spacey is the leader of a private militarized corporation known as Atlas. And you start this game as a Marine in the Army who becomes friends with Private Irons, the son of Kevin Spacey. Critics rated this game as a 9.1 out of 10. Starting our review with the pros, we would like to mention that the graphics in this game looked absolutely phenomenal. Guns and the exotech are really well thought out, realistic, and really add a lot to the gameplay. Their multiplayer modes are exceptional with their exo survival mode, and zombies isn't really that memorable, but it plays well. The main cons when looking at this game are the overall general glitches in the AI and in the campaign, having Kevin Spacey with his recent allegations, and a very underwhelming finish to the survival. After you finish all 25 rounds, they just flip the map and raised the difficulty. That being said, we still gave this game a 9 out of 10 because it's a lot of fun. Some fun facts about the game are that it uses a pre-rendered cinematic cutscene to move the campaign story along. It fully takes advantage of future tech above any Call of Duty game at the time, and multiplayer was highly praised for breathing new life into Call of Duty as a franchise.
I think it's time to move on to number 3.
Sims 4. Released in 2013, Sims 4 is a great break from first-person shooters and RPGs. It is rated by critics at 7.5 out of 10. Our review, starting with the pros, the build creations are exceptionally well done and very quirky. You can make just about any character you can imagine and an adequate habitat to suit them in. The very numerous faces made by your Sims and emotional reactions can be very hilarious, and the Vampires edition is a very nice, well laid out addition to the game. The pets and vet clinics are interesting, and there are numerous expansions that add a lot to this game, although they can be quite expensive, and some of them kind of
Pointless.
like Laundry Day.
Really?
Now for the cons. The building system in the game can be very glitchy, especially if you build a lot and have a lot of different created Sims. The main glitches involve rooftops and staircases. The AI in the game can be a bit broken sometimes, especially in crowded areas. The base game itself doesn't seem to have a whole lot of hidden gems.
There's not many places to explore. Sims 3 had a lot of stuff like bookstores, grocery stores. This game doesn't really give you any of that.
And the game, we thought, could use a few more aspirations. And the kids and pets tend to be a little more annoying than adding to the game. After all that, we still gave Sims 4 a 9 out of 10. And some fun facts about the game are it adds back a lot of the supernatural elements that Sims 3 left out. There are easily the most facial animations of all the Sims games. It is the first Sims game to let created Sims live in the same world and interact with each other.
That's one of the better features of the entire game. I think it's time to take ourselves to number 2. Number 2 is Telltale's Tales from the Borderlands. Released in 2014, this game basically is your usual Telltale's game with a Borderlands skin attached to it, but it does so many things right. The premise of this game is that you play as a robotic arm Hyperion named Reese and your buddy Vaughn. You see, Reese and Vaughn, they want promotions, they want better pay, they want better positions in Hyperion, but there's one man that stands in their way, and his name is Vasquez. Critics decided to give Borderlands an 8.7 out of 10, and some pros that we found for the game was that the soundtrack was amazing. It was one of the best soundtracks in any game that we've played, especially for the cutscenes and the story progression. The characters were very well fleshed out. The voice acting, as always with Troy Baker, is phenomenal. And one of the best games to incorporate humor into action scenes I've ever seen. And of course, Vasquez is always a positive. Some cons that we have for this game. The NPC cutscene animation can take for a while to load and be poorly textured. The story relies a bit too much on the humor that we talked about, to the point where sometimes the serious scenes get dramatically cut. And some choices that we think matter sometimes really don't matter. It makes the game's replayability not that often. Our official rating for Tales from the Borderlands is 10 out of 10. We really did enjoy this game. It was one of our favorites from the entire year. And we have some fun facts for you. You see, Vasquez that we kept mentioning is voiced by Joe from Family Guy.
Hey, over here.
Troy Baker, the main character in this game, also voices a character in Advanced Warfare. And no sequel for this game has been made, but fans have been desperately demanding one. I think it's time for some honorable mentions. The honorable mentions are Batman Arkham City, the best Batman we've ever played. Skyrim, a game that no one has beaten yet. The Last of Us, one of the best story-driven games released within the 2010 range of gaming. Dead Rising 2, one of our favorite recent undercut games because, well, who doesn't like killing zombies wearing a sombrero? And our pick for number 1 is Red Dead Redemption. It was released in 2010. We absolutely love this game. It is phenomenal. We loved it so much we went out and we bought the second one. The premise for those who haven't played this epic game yet is that you play as a cowboy named John Marston. John Marston has a troubled past, but he only wants one thing now. He wants to live with his family on his ranch, living the simple life. But you see, the US government, they have other plans for John. Critics gave this game a 9.8 out of 10, and very deservedly so. Some pros that we found for this game is that the graphics hold up even to this day in gaming. Some of the best parts of this entire game is hunting. The story itself is phenomenal, and also the ending is quite heartbreaking, but we won't spoil that for you. And let's be honest, John's one of the best gaming protagonists of all time. Some cons that we had for this game. There's a lot of bugs in this game. Not really game-breaking bugs, but enough bugs that you'll notice them as you play it. The early part of the story, when you're farming and ranching with Bonnie, can be a bit tedious and boring. The open world itself, although it's very immersive, especially when you get to Mexico, there's not really much to do. There's only a couple of games to do in town that don't really add to the overall gameplay. We decided to give this game a 10 out of 10. We think it's just that damn good. And we have some fun facts about it today. It's the first Rockstar game to really incorporate hunting into their game. It's the unrealized sequel to Red Dead Revolver, a game that not many people know about. And behind Grand Theft Auto, Red Dead Redemption is the second best-selling franchise from Rockstar Company.
So thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe, and don't forget to wash your hands.
We'll see you soon.